Day 55, 11,577 verses left. It's day 2 of Jeremiah and he's got one of the toughest gigs in the Bible. Check out chapter 11, verse 11. It's basically his job to tell his own countrymen that they've rejected God and now God's going to completely destroy them. Oh, I wouldn't have wanted to sit next to him at a dinner party. In fact, they don't really want to sit next to him either, and so in chapter 11 they hatch a plot to kill him and shut him up. Jeremiah's so upset about this that he asks God to drag them off like sheep to be butchered. God then tells Jeremiah to go and buy a belt just so he can bury it. Surely that should have been a treasure chest. But then he tells him to dig it all up again when it's old and useless, just so we can show the people of Jerusalem that it's useless to follow other gods. The other prophets are back in chapter 14 who keep telling everyone that everything's going to be totally fine, but in fact everything's going to be completely unfine in the form of drought and famine and swordsmen. When Jeremiah asks if there's any comeback from this, God says he wouldn't even listen if Moses or Samuel were to speak on their behalf. That's a bit like Woody not even paying any attention to Buzz. King Manasseh is given as an example of why God is so mad with them. It turns out that Manasseh burned his own son in the fire as a sacrifice to other gods. That's in 2 Kings 21. God wants to make his point so clearly that he tells Jeremiah in chapter 16 that he's not even allowed to go to weddings or funerals. And when people ask him why he's being such a douche, he's supposed to say that they followed other gods and so the real God has totally rejected them. He could just sneak a bit of cake though, right? Or some quiche? Jeremiah then hosts the most depressing pottery classes ever. And a guy called Pasha gets so bored of him that he has him beaten and put in stocks. That's like punishment, not like soup. Jeremiah's not very pleased about this, so prophesies that Pasha and his whole family will get kidnapped and die. Other than that, they were totally cool. In chapter 21, Zedekiah hears that Nebuchadnezzar is actually attacking them, and he wants to know whether God might rescue them, sort of like he did with Sennacherib on day 33. Oh, that's not the answer he was looking for. Check out 2 Kings 25. There's just a bit of relief in chapter 23 when we hear about a future king who's going to save Judah and Israel. Other than that, it's all pretty bad news, with kings overthrown, poisoned water, lying prophets, and slippery paths. Usually it's hilarious when people slip over. Tune in tomorrow for some good news. Nah, just messing, it's still pretty bad.